Some people seem to get confused. There are so many different sources out there, people don't know which ones to trust and which ones not to trust. So I interviewed an expert in water treatment to set the record straight.
Okay, my name's Joshua Foster. I spent 12 years at various levels of the water treatment industry in Sacramento. I carry a grade 2 California State water treatment certificate. Pretty much the lay of the land, man. Anything that has to do with water or sewer in the city of Sacramento, I participated in it.
You know, if you could say anything to your city council representative, what would you say?
It's your job to remain educated on issues that concern the people that you represent. Whether that's fluoride, whether that's organophosphate. It doesn't take much time. You don't need to go read a book from Harvard Law. It takes probably 5 minutes to look into fluoride, how it works, how it's toxic. Everybody in water treatment, everybody in fire, and everybody that's driving the trucks that bring it in from wherever we're buying it from, everybody at every level knows that it's toxic, it's poison, but everybody gets paid from it, so everybody continues to do it. I can't make it any simpler than that.
Like, well, you were actually working for the city, like you knew that fluoride had nothing to do with water treatment. It was just, it's toxic, it's corrosive. But, I mean, you know, you're just basically doing your job, adding it to the water.
Yeah, I can tell you anybody that has any kind of certification or anybody that's applied fluoride or understands water treatment understands that it has nothing to do with water quality. It has nothing to do with eliminating any toxins or bacteria. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's actually applying a toxin to the water, and anybody at any respectable level of water treatment will agree with that.
And so all the other operators, you know, they know that it's BS basically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They all anybody that's taken the fluoride out and added the sodium fluoride to the wells, or anybody that's at the water treatment plant with a high level certification knows that there's absolutely no reason to add it to the water. It's not doing anything for anybody, and everybody at every level is very aware of it.
But they usually don't speak out because that's how they make a living.
It's their bread and butter, man. It would be like a NASCAR guy coming out and saying, "Hey, we're really wasting gas here," you know. So nobody's going to step out and say, "Hey, this is really stupid that we're doing this."
Like, when did you start publicly speaking out against water fluoridation?
Well, I spoke out. The real concern with me actually had nothing to do with the application of fluoride. It had to do with the cost of the application of fluoride.
Good evening, Mr. Foster.
Within the Department of Utilities or within plant services, what could be done there? A couple of things that I saw and had question about, and I asked Mr. Brent about before, and I would expect the response from his office soon as well, was removing the fluoride from the water. There was a point in time when I was employed with the city that they started threatening layoffs with some of the people that worked for me, and you know, your initial reaction is, okay, well, where can we cut money to ensure that these people keep their jobs, you know, without going to the citizens and asking for a rate increase. Granted, I know the department doesn't have the money, but really the public doesn't either. And the first thing, I promise you, at any water treatment facility at any level in any city, the first thing that should be cut is the fluoride distribution. It's an immediate savings, and it's quite an expense.
Good to see you again, Mr. Foster.
Also, I brought up before, and I did get a reply about the fluoride being in the water. That isn't something that's mandated. That doesn't make our water quality any better, which is the job of utilities, to provide a certain quality of water, which they do. I know it's rated very high, but the fluoride doesn't. It's a good cost and doesn't participate in increasing the quality of the water.
And in terms of the fluoride question, I'm not really, I don't know if any of us are expert in the application of fluoride, but I will say, it's probably about a million and a half a year. Is that what it is?
Yes, it's about $1 million to $1.5 million, and we are currently working to get about $550,000. Excuse me, $550,000 one time that would be coming forward to council. The caveat with that $550,000 would be we have to continue to fluoride for 4 years. So this is a policy that council back in about 2000 adopted, was to fluoridate our water. At that time, we got money to install the equipment, but we've been operating it on ratepayers' cost.
You've seen the footage. It's in the city. It's about $1.5 million a year. When they do the employee layoffs, they estimate each employee at $100,000 a year. That's not to say that they make $100,000, but that's to say that their insurance and Social Security and things like that, they put a price on each person as $100,000. So 1.5 million, saves you 15 employees a year, and it's an immediate gain. So that was the first thing that woke me up. At the time, I had lived out of town. When I moved back to the city of Sacramento, it became very important to me because of my son. Where I came from, it was a newer facility. They had wells, and they weren't adding fluoride yet. When I moved back to Sacramento, it became a real big issue because of my son, obviously taking baths, and we built a garden in the backyard. We got to add fluoridated water to our garden. Washing your clothes, cooking your food, everything, making your coffee, whatever it is, anything that you do with water, it has fluoride in it, and that's not by choice. So I was hoping I could do something. Most people don't drink their tap water in the first place. Most of, I would say, in excess of 60% of the water treated in Sacramento, which is up over 100 million gallons a day, goes to irrigation and things like that. So at the most, I would say under 10% goes to people actually drinking the water. So the exposure lies in you water your garden with it, you take a bath with it, you make your coffee, you cook your dinner in it, you soak your chicken or whatever the hell you make, your ice cubes, everything you're exposed to. Now, people also think that, oh, well, I drink bottled water. Almost, I would say, well above 90% of bottled water is purchased from a municipality and rebottled after maybe a small amount of filtration, and still contains probably somewhere around the same parts per million that you would be getting from the distribution system in the first place. So, and then you go to Starbucks and you get your coffee there. All of that's fluoridated water. It's not filtered at a high level. So if it's not just, oh, I don't drink tap water. You are exposed to it on every level of every time you cross water. And
Everybody uses water.
All of us are using water. In every walk of life, you are exposed to fluoride. But it also benefits the operator to remove it as well, because it's a hazardous material that they're no longer dealing with. So their safety, at that point comes into play. And again, I'll say there's no operator at any level that will say, oh, there's nothing wrong with fluoride. I like going out and adding it to the wells, or I love unloading it off the trucks when it comes in these bags with these skulls and crossbones on it and all these poison warnings. Yeah, that's a great part of my job, you know. And you're not going to find anybody at any level in any city that says that. You can get a dentist to come out and say, oh yeah, this is great for your teeth, but there's no educated doctor at any level that's going to say that fluoride, when inhaled or digested or absorbed through your skin, is going to say that that's good for you. That you won't find one. It's not here to help us. It's not benefiting us, and we have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get it out, man. We can't give up. But just know in your hearts when you go home today that you were part of approving this contract to bring this to our city, to our water supply, to the water that my children bathe in, to the water that your children bathe in. I find it very uneducated. I find it very offensive that there hasn't been enough of your guys' support in educating the community so that they can make a decision on whether or not we want this in our supply.
How much success have you had trying to waken people up to the dangers of fluoride?
Well, actually, when you speak to a normal human being, man, you cross paths and you say, well, what do you know about fluoride? Oh, I know my dentist gives me a little bit of fluoride when I go there, and there might be some in the water, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't take much to convince a decently educated human being that fluoride is toxic. It's really a small conversation. When you want to convince a city council, or you want to convince somebody whose job may be at stake, I've had zero success.
What do you think people need to do?
It's education. The votes come in support of fluoride because your dentist tells you it's okay, and your dentist has white teeth, so they must know that it's okay. But if you could get out and educate just enough, you don't have to reach everybody. If you could get out and educate just enough people to get the votes, at least at our level, and at least here in Sacramento, we can win. We're going to have to, like I said, we're gonna have to take our defeats, man. We've been getting whooped for quite a few years. But there's still a lot of concerned citizens. There's still a lot of good, hard-working people that are willing to sacrifice their time and their efforts to continue the fight. But I would be willing to sit down with anybody at any level, council, the mayor, the city manager, the division manager of utilities, the director of utilities, anybody at any level, the highest person, in the dentist in Sacramento, whoever it is, anybody at any level to debate the merits of fluoride. And I mean, nobody will do it, but I would be willing to sit down with anybody in any public forum.